I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Friday.
Hey, where'd your ice go?
Seems oddly quiet on the streets of Minneapolis all of a sudden. What happened up there? It was all-out street battles between ICE and agitators. And Tom Homan coming on yesterday, giving a surprising update. Here he is.
For those that say we are backing down from immigration enforcement or the promise of mass deportations, you are simply wrong. Look at the data. Record number of arrests and deportations on there. And we'll continue that effort. Prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats doesn't mean we'll forget about everybody else. We will take action on everybody else. That's just a stone cold fact.
Homan saying that Trump, per his recommendation, Homan's recommendation, is going to draw down the ICE advancement that was taking place in Minneapolis. And do you consider this a win for either side? Homan saying, yeah, we got what we wanted all along, which was cooperation. We got the Minnesota police, Minneapolis police, now notifying us if they arrest somebody that's a violent criminal, that's an illegal immigrant. We can go into their jails and arrest them. We don't have that stupid process that happens sometimes here in Colorado where they allow the criminal out the front door and ICE has to chase them around the parking lot.
Yeah, we saw that on video.
Right? Like it was almost like comedic to me. It's like watching middle school kids play a game. All right.
It's like the greased pig.
Sharks
yeah, that's what it is. Like the greased pig at the rodeo.
Yeah, the catch a calf.
Yes, it is. That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's like so stupid.
Yeah, whichever ICE agent catch the escaped criminal gets a bonus. Here we go. Put numbers on their back. And I'm sorry, this is not appropriate.
And then ICE got Minneapolis PD and as well as Minnesota sheriffs to be able to provide protection for them when they're out and about, which is what they wanted all along. So if you're an agitator, you can't interfere. And the people protecting ICE now is Minneapolis PD. So do you consider this a win for Homan and the Trump administration? Do you consider it a win for the protesters? They're out there claiming that they stood strong in the middle of the freezing winter and sent Trump packing. Who do you believe? Maybe it's just we came to a moment of common sense as Americans and said, yeah, if we really want the bad guys, the worst of the worst out, creating a scenario where you're not notifying ICE and then letting them out the front door to run around isn't helping anybody. What do you make of all this? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Friday morning, 32 and sunny in Denver, 33 in the Springs, expecting highs in the mid-50s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story, Scott Bottoms told Jeff and Bill Thursday that he's been working with the FBI regarding sex trafficking involving current politicians in Colorado. Said he couldn't really say much. Hopefully, we all want this to be investigated and expose any crimes. But one of his GOP competitors, in case you didn't hear it, Barb Kirkmeyer, doesn't want this to be used as a political tool if there isn't evidence. And that's why she told Jeff and Bill, that's what she told Jeff and Bill on Thursday.
Well, I think one of two things. Either what he's saying is not accurate and he's made that up, or for the last 3 years he's been sitting on his hands while kids are getting trafficked and, a pedophile ring in the the Senate and the House and the governor's office. Why hasn't he done something? He may be a state representative, but he's also a pastor and he's a mandatory reporter.
So we'll keep an eye on that. And, our callers are they're great. And they've been awesome this morning. And Brian is echoing what a lot of Americans are saying this morning and thinking about the Epstein files. Child sex trafficking, mutilation, and beyond.
But you look at this where they're talking. This is actual emails between, these demonic, psychopathic pedophiles, okay? These are actual emails between them talking about raping 10, 11, and 12-year-olds. How that doesn't bother everybody to the core of their being. Now, I'm tired about the what about you-isms, okay? What about them-isms? Well, they didn't do it. Why should we? No, this is not going away, guys.
Absolutely. Has to be exposed. All these politicians on the left and the right, doesn't matter. Americans aren't stupid. They know what's going on. Arizona officials releasing new details about a possible suspect in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Police said they are searching for a male who may be 5'9" to 5'10" with an average build. Oh, that helps. That's about 2 million people in Arizona. Meanwhile, investigators recovered several items that may be potential evidence, including gloves that have been submitted for DNA testing. DHS may soon be impacted by the continued stalemate between Republican and Democratic lawmakers over illegal immigration enforcement reforms. Both sides have failed to reach an agreement over the future of ICE. Unless an agreement is reached, another partial shutdown starts on Saturday. Shut it all down. The majority of them are crooks and thieves, and just shut them down.
I still want to go back to the idea that we as a society look at Congress and are like, who should manage our health care?
Exactly.
These people.
Frightening.
I mean, they can't even keep the basic government operating. They fight over everything.
Right.
And we're like, and they're so full of corruption and taking kickbacks and bribes and all that stuff. And we're like, yes, my child's health care belongs in your hands.
It really does feel like the script is already written. And it's just to go back and forth and absolutely accomplish nothing. Colorado Springs Parks officials are detailing cost-saving measures to address a $3.1 million budget cut this year. Kim King, the interim parks director.
Reductions are now going to be seen and felt, if you will.
The popular Julie Penrose fountain will remain dry to save up to $50,000 a year, and bathrooms in small and medium parks will close, saving about $100,000. January consumer prices did not rise as much as expected. The Labor Department reported the Consumer Price Index showed the core CPI, excluding food and energy, rose 0.3% for the month. Meanwhile, the monthly figure for headline inflation put the annual rate at 2.4%. And Pam Bondi is still probably saying the stock market is at 50,000. The International Space Station has a new crew headed its way. Liftoff of NASA's SpaceX Crew 12 mission took place early this morning from Cape Canaveral, and NASA is sending 3 astronauts and 1 cosmonaut to replace 4 crew members who had to cut their mission short due to a medical issue. 5-1 victory for Team USA over Latvia in Olympic hockey as the action continues. 33 in the Springs, 32 in Denver, and that's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Satellite and radar shows a continual feed of moisture from the west coast coming into Colorado. This is going to be producing a lot of high and mid-level cloudiness. There are going to be more opportunities for occasional snow in Colorado's high country today, tonight, and tomorrow. For the Front Range, since we don't have any connection to Canadian air, temperatures are going to continue to be very mild. Daytime highs in Denver and Colorado Springs will easily be in the 50s today and tomorrow. And as we get into the weekend, 50s, even some lower 60s by Sunday and President's Day Monday, as that flow of Pacific air continues. Do expect a lot of clouds with this pattern through Friday. There might be a few rain or snow showers along the Front Range and plains today, tonight, and tomorrow, but nothing of consequence. We'll have a little bit of a break in the clouds and the weather over the weekend before another system approaches Colorado late Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get to hear both sides, and this is an issue where there are two sides. Yesterday, Tom Homan announcing a drawdown of Operation Metro Surge. This was the 3,000 ICE agents that were sent into Minneapolis. You had the two fatal shootings that took place. You've had 4,000 illegal immigrants arrested. And Homan making a press conference yesterday saying, hey, we've essentially achieved what we wanted to, which was cooperation with state officials. These sanctuary city policies, sanctuary state policies actually hinder, especially if you're saying, well, go out there and arrest the worst of the worst. Go get the bad guys. Well, if you're not letting us come into the jail, if you're not telling us, and then you let the bad guys out the front door and we got to chase them around the parking lot like some catch-a-calf operation at the stock show, then you're not helping us get the worst. And we have to bring in ICE agents, and it becomes worse out on the streets. Then you have the agitators that were involved, the two fatal shootings that took place. And Homan saying, hey, we got cooperation. They're now notifying us who they're arresting. They're allowing us to arrest in jail, and they're providing police to protect our agents. We're good. We have other priorities to deal with. But the mayor of Minneapolis, Mr. Thorpe, saying they thought they could break us. But a love for our neighbors and a resolve to endure can outlast an occupation. Mayor of Minneapolis saying, we defeated the occupiers. Who won in this situation, Mr. Thorpe?
Well, in my opinion, both sides won and both sides lost. Yeah, I'm as clear as mud on this one. I think that both sides are, as we expect, going to be doing the touchdown dance, and I didn't expect Homan to be spiking the football, but I do expect the public-facing lawmakers in Minnesota too, because Homan doesn't have to get reelected. They do. So they need to make a large public display and go out there and do their end zone dance. But Homan in the press conference yesterday did an admirable job of also declaring victory. And I do think both is true, that this is a victory in some ways for both sides and also a loss. Neither side gets exactly what they want. And both sides had to figure out how to functionally work together. Now, if only this would be made into a research project or a book report we could get the rest of Congress to complete by the end of next week. It might help them get off their dookuses and get crap done based on compromise. My opinion, we've been talking about it a lot, Jeff, that it was always wrong for sanctuary cities to not turn over people in their jails or in their custody that have ICE holds or any sort of a violent criminal background. Not turning them over to ICE is stupid, because it is hard to argue against. We need to get the most violent, dangerous criminals out of our society, whether they are American-born, that's why you spend time in prison, or foreign-born, and maybe you deport them. That is a hard thing to argue against, and it was the best plank that the Trump campaign was using and the Trump administration was using. I felt that was the strongest thrust during the election cycle, that we are going to go after the worst of the worst. That is what I felt we were sold as Americans. The effective immigration enforcement didn't appear to go after just those people. But it is also a really, really fair critique that local lawmakers and those in charge made it incredibly difficult when you didn't let them pick up the easiest targets. And the easiest targets are those we've already caught. It was phenomenally stupid to say, yes, we know this person can and has been a danger in our society, but we aren't going to let other authorities remove them from here. It was counterproductive, in my mind, to the based argument that Democrats and liberals were making, that these immigrants aren't so dangerous and they're okay in our community. But you're arresting some of them, and some of them you're letting back into the community. It would have been a much stronger position for the liberals to work with ICE to get the worst out and then complain about everybody else that they're trying to arrest based on quotas. But it became an ideological purity test on the Dem side, and it was stupid in many ways. But I do think that ICE went about it incorrectly as well. Want to do things we saw Bavino talking about at one point inside of Minneapolis. He just wanted to have roving patrols, meaning he just wanted people from ICE in their full tactical gear wandering down the streets and stopping anyone and everyone they felt just to shake you down. Now, that's something that happens in authoritarian countries, not in America. So I think the enforcement actions were a little bit wrong, too. So a little bit of a win, a little bit of a loss.
Remember, Tim Walz was out there claiming that ICE was going door to door, asking you to point out the brown people in your communities. Leftists saw this as a political opportunity to try to destabilize or bring instability. Sometimes I get my words right. Bring instability to communities in an effort to make Trump look bad. It was in many ways kind of a repeat of what you saw in 2020, where I think leftists don't really care about black people. That the BLM movement was in many ways a grift to make money. And then you had plenty of studies that came out that showed that the defunding the police and the rollback of policing, particularly in inner city communities, actually made life worse for black people. And so when the left ran out there and did all the anti-ICE protests and the agitations, it was all geared at Donald Trump. I don't think they really care about your communities. I don't think they care about immigrants. It became a political opportunity to hammer their opponent. Trump responded not by backing away, but by stepping into it. I think he got the right people. Holman has proved himself now serving 6 presidents. I think he got a Medal of Freedom from Obama. But this is a guy that brought stability to that situation, and they got what they wanted all along. If you go back to the show, I said weeks ago that the key word here is cooperation. That's all they were looking for. Cooperation to get illegal immigrants out of this country. Here's Tom Homan yesterday.
Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy released to the neighborhood either. It's ridiculous. We want access to the person that you chose, the local jurisdiction chose, to lock in a jail cell. And we have that cooperation here now. It's the right thing to do, and it makes this community safer. This community is safer because we arrested 4,000 illegal aliens in this, over 4,000 illegal aliens here, many of them public safety threat, not all of them. As I said, we're going to force immigration law, but this community is much safer because of President Trump's leadership and the men and women standing on the stage.
We have that cooperation now. That's what it was about. Now, what message does this send to the city of Denver, to Colorado, that maintains its sanctuary policies? You have the city council in Denver saying they want to pass a ban on masks and ICE-wearing masks, so they continue to be at odds with federal law enforcement. Is the message sent to everybody in this country, if we just cooperate and work together, particularly on getting the worst of the worst out, those that you as a community, as Tom Homan pointed out, have already arrested that you don't want here and incarcerated, just cooperate. We can get them out. And I think one of the most compelling arguments in the whole scenario here was that you didn't have riots in other cities. They were just in Minneapolis because even though some other states and cities had more ICE operations taking place and more people being deported, you didn't have that antagonism that came from the city and state leadership that was purposely trying to use a volatile moment in order to try to win political points. All right, feel free to join the conversation. What do you think of what happened in Minneapolis? Who won? Do you appreciate Trump stepping back? What does this mean with regards to the Somalian fraud? We'll get into that next because Homan did address that. But want to hear from you. Jump in on the conversation. This is the only show in Colorado where left, right, center get to debate each other and join in. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line 720-819-5115. Let's talk Mountain High Appliance. You got to check out their terrific President's Day savings happening now across all Mountain High Appliance showrooms. Whether you're replacing one appliance or planning a full kitchen remodel, you have great options. Save up to $4,200 on select KitchenAid appliance packages. Enjoy exclusive local deals not available at big box stores like dishwashers, starting at $359. Well, that's not bad at all. And stainless steel kitchen packages starting at $1,999. I'm afraid I shouldn't have read this bill because I think my wife's going to hear this.
Uh-oh. You can hear those numbers. And
Wait, a new dishwasher starting at $359?
Uh-oh, that's
Swing
not
by,
good.
honey.
Yes.
Grab it on your way home.
Yeah.
When it's
Let's go with
time for appliances, think Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store. 3 locations in the Denver metro area or online at mountainhighappliance.com. Mountainhighappliance.com. Those are some good deals.
Those are some great deals. Now, we've been talking about this today, helping out the guys with your Valentine's Day last-minute ideas. Okay, now, maybe you haven't done the dinner reservation. Maybe you haven't even done the gift. Again, here's another get-out-of-jail-free card. You don't have to know sizes, colors, or nothing. All you got to do is ask your significant other if there is that pain point inside of your kitchen, in your house. Here's the perfect time to start browsing to see if you can solve it. And our friends at Mountain High Appliance are going to find you the best deals out there because there are a whole bunch of rebates and incentives that aren't advertised, but they have the deals. They'll give you every single possible rebate you can, lowering that final cost to absolutely rock bottom. You haven't done the planning. Maybe you didn't make that dinner reservation. This is how you make it good. If you have that pain point, you've been complaining, is it that dishwasher? Is it that microwave? Is it that oven? Is it all of them and more? Go check out Mountain High Appliance. It'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Great word there, Mr. Thorpe. We will continue. Want you to be a part of the conversation as well. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Yesterday, Tom Homan announcing the drawdown of the Operation Metro Surge. That was 3,000 ICE agents that went to Minneapolis. He touted some successes. They arrested 4,000 people. They identified 3,000 lost kids that had come across the border and were able to get them into safe communities. The amount of human trafficking taking place there was wild. So he had lots of success to tout. Here's the mayor of Minneapolis saying they thought they could break us, but a love for our neighbors and a resolve to endure can outlast an occupation. Was it an occupation? Or was it just the administration enforcing immigration laws in the midst of a hostile community? And step it up. And do you appreciate them drawing back? Lots of text messages on this. Old school Marm saying sanctuary places of worship, okay. Sanctuary cities should not be used as a reasonable precedent. Look where we are now. And at the end there, Homan just goes, look, what we wanted all along was just cooperation. And we got it. Brad from Parker is saying the reason for not letting ICE access to criminals in prison has a logic to it. It would result in, especially in domestic settings, a fear by migrants to call police in a domestic violent situation. You can disagree with the assertion, but it was not a baseless concept. I've never understood that argument. You hear this a lot from progressive leaders that if we don't allow sanctuary cities, then we're not going to get the calls we need from the immigrant community because they'll be afraid they might be deported too or something like that. And I just look at the whole scenario and I'm like, why are we accepting this? I don't get it. You're saying that we have an illegal immigrant community here and we're so concerned that the person reporting, like say a rape or an assault, might get deported too. They're not going to call the police to arrest the rapist. And I just look at the whole scenario and I go, well, why are we permitting this scenario, this situation in our communities? Like that, the whole thing seems weird to me. So it was never an argument that stuck with me. Let's go to the phone lines. Joan in Lakewood. Good morning, Joan. What do you think of the withdrawal? The Operation Metro Surge coming to an end?
Well, first of all, I think this is how democracy should work. My favorite president, Reagan, said that, you know, if you got 80%, it's a win. And so I think it is a win. And I think that it's a win for Colorado because this past week, Jared Polis has been putting out that he's not letting his legislature do things like mass bans and stuff. And he actually came out and said he wasn't going to get between ICE and enforcement. So,
that's a big deal. I mean, we still have a lot of other sanctuary policies in the state. For instance, it was passed statewide that law enforcement can't coordinate with ICE, but that's a nice change. What do you attribute that change to?
I think I attribute it to how good Jared Polis is at reading the room. And I think he sees what happened with Governor Wallace. Governor Wallace is done. He has no political career ever. Jared Polis has aspirations to become president of the United States. And he can see that this not cooperating, or particularly having them running around in the streets instead of picking them up out of the courtrooms, is not a good picture. It's not good. And then there's the liability. Bill says that the people who were shot in Minnesota have some real liability to sue the state for not protecting them and holding back the police. And I think the shutdown that the Democrats are doing in the national level to not fund ICE is a loser.
Yeah, Bill, what do you think of that? If they want changes to Department of Homeland Security, some Republicans have agreed to, for instance, body cameras. I think that's very reasonable, but they're seeking to defund ICE in some capacities. What do you think it's a winning proposition for Democrats to partially shut down the government over these issues?
I do. I think it is, and it's not my personal opinion. I'm not certain that if I was in that camp, I would go ahead and do it. But what I'm going to do is read the field as I see it currently. And right now, President Trump and his administration's approval ratings are the most underwater on two issues: the economy and immigration enforcement. Those are the two things that were his biggest positive when he came into office. They were the ones in which he had the most positive approval, and now are his least popular planks of his administration. When it has turned into one of the least popular things from the administration, the Democrats are going to try and make hay off of it. They're reading the field as I am, my opinion, that the majority of those that are polled, and so you look at registered voters and those that are probably politically active, are not approving of the direction the Trump administration is going. So the Democrats are going to try and make a stink and show that they are the ones standing up to the administration and they are holding them accountable, and you can fill in whatever you had from there. That's why I think they're going to do it. And simply based on what I've seen in the polling, I think they're picking the right play. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think they're picking the right fight.
Joan, your response?
Well, they had a story yesterday about how they're changing, how they're doing these pollings, because apparently the pollings haven't been matching up with what's going on. And they're actually
What do you mean by that, Joan? Help me understand that.
There's a new company that's come out and said, we're not going to do polling by the old methods where we sample and that kind of thing, because a lot of people don't participate in it. They don't get the right sample, and it doesn't match up. Also, polling is something that can be manipulated. I can ask my dog whether he likes cheese or not, and I'm pretty sure the answer I'll get.
But wouldn't that also be a manipulation inside of the polling? And that would be, and you can see that inside the results tabs. We've seen that with certain types of polling, both on the left and the right, where they oversample, and we've also critiqued things based on questions. And if you were going to be, in my mind, a credible polling company, one of the things you do is you release the questions which you asked the respondents and the demographic drop-down tabs of who you asked and who responded. And so as long as you're doing that, you know, I agree. The methods are somewhat inaccurate and not 100% reliable. And I think I don't trust polls, but I trust them to be an individual snapshot in a pointed time. And so I do take them as just kind of a signpost. I'm not certain that it is. And so that's why I somewhat disagree with you on that.
And this new company has come out, and they say, and I believe this completely and totally, that they have so much data on you, so much data, and it's not just data from last week or data, because you're getting all sorts of, I can tell you, I go and look something up on my phone about flowers, and I get 17 flower companies in my feed. They know what I'm thinking because of how I'm looking on the internet and stuff. And they're taking this data that they've been getting, and they are not asking questions. They're making assumptions based on what the person is about.
Yeah,
Joan,
I've
Lakewood,
seen that.
thank you.
Yeah, I think that was started by a couple of college kids, and their predictor models have been fairly accurate in certain areas, and so I think there is some merit to that. I do go back to, was it Trafalgar? I think it was Trafalgar that was so right on in the 2016, and then missed it in 2020. They tried to change some of their data aggregation, and it seemed to hold true for a while, and then didn't in other areas. And there's some merit on that polling, but I haven't seen what they say about immigration.
Text messages hot on both sides of this issue saying, oh, it's very clear that Trump and Homan lost. Others saying, no, they've got exactly what they were looking for, cooperation. We're also getting text messages reminding us that appliances may not be the best Valentine's Day gift.
Well, here's the thing.
For some of the ladies out there, but I've got another idea for you.
Well, hang on. What you do is you don't surprise your significant other with the appliance.
Ooh.
But if they have been moaning, complaining about this stupid oven doesn't have this burner, and I'm tired of this, and look at how old this dishwasher is, that's the time where you go let them pick it out. Just saying.
There you go.
Helps.
Honey, let's go. It's Saturday. It's Valentine's Day. Swing by Mountain High Appliance.
Yes, and you got another option for those guys out there.
Of course.
People, yes.
Let's talk Black Eyed Pea of Colorado, locally owned and run by Stephen Michelle. That's important to me. Locally run. My entire family loves this restaurant. My parents do. My wife and I do, and the kids. They recently opened a restaurant in Fort Collins. You can visit them at 807 East Harmony Road. This is a beautiful restaurant. You want to take your entire family to eat out there. But if you didn't get the reservation, they don't accept reservations. So it's first come, first serve. Get in early, and you can eat at the Black Eyed Pea, and they have delicious chocolate cake that your wife will love, girlfriend. Here's some food they got that's made from scratch. Okay, you guys ready? Ranch-style pork chops. Isn't that nice? They got pot roast and meatloaf, chicken fried steak, chicken tenderloins, grilled salmon, grilled and fried shrimp. They've got daily specials and senior discounts. So if you're looking for an option for Valentine's Day, maybe you want to eat in. You know, set the candles up. Bill, did you ever do that for your wife? Did you ever set the candles up for dinner around the house?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, we did as well. And you can have the food delivered. Or swing by and grab it.
That's the kicker there, is that you don't have to even go out to the restaurant, etc. You can take the credit. You can go, you can swing by the restaurant, you can bring it back to the house, and you too can have that quiet, romantic meal. You can even do it in your pajamas. And so it can be something that you can do there at home. You can order the perfect dinner. You can even take it over. If you're just dating right now, you can take it to their place as well. You don't have to worry about squeezing into that. Maybe it's too loud or too crowded for you as far as the restaurant, or maybe you want to go outside in public and celebrate your love. But the Black Eyed Pea has got a table for you this Valentine's Day weekend. We are going to solve that problem. You don't have to be running around looking for those reservations. Black Eyed Pea, it's that easy.
They also do catering. Your dinner party, rehearsal, dinner, wedding reception, or company event will be a success when you look to the Black Eyed Pea. I'm telling you, I love everything about this restaurant. Support local. Make it Maha. Keep it in Colorado, and visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. BlackEyedPeaColorado.com. BlackEyedPeaColorado.com. All right, Bill, when we come back, I'll play some of the audio from the Homan press release yesterday regarding the investigations into Somali fraud. In light of the 700 ICE agent drop down on Operation Metro Surge, they're taking 700 of the agents out. What are they planning to do regarding the fraud, the Somali fraud that was taking place in Minnesota? We'll give you the latest. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We're The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show where you hear both sides. We're talking the drawdown of Operation Metro Surge. This is the 3,000 ICE agents that went into Minneapolis. You remember all the craziness. I found some of the irony almost so laughable from these agitators, these people that would demand, open borders and then check IDs to see if you were living in the neighborhood. They created blockades in the middle of the street and then are like, we're not letting you in unless you live here.
Yeah,
Show us your ID.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? This whole thing's open border. Anyways, one of the concerns in the conservative movement in the drawdown was what's going to happen with current ICE operations, what's going to happen particularly with the fraud that has been exposed in Minneapolis. Here's Holman yesterday.
Additionally, federal government personnel assigned to conduct criminal investigation into the agitators, as well as the personnel assigned here for the fraud investigations, will remain in place until their work is done.
So the agitators, folks that storm the churches, for instance, or the church, storm that, are still going to continue to be investigated. If you were organizing, intervening with federal operations, you're going to be investigated. I do think that was orchestrated. I think there was a conspiracy there to interfere with ICE operations, and anybody that was a part of that should absolutely be investigated. And then you have all the Somali fraud that's taken place. So that needs to continue. Holman's saying we're going to continue to do that, but he reiterates his priorities here.
Like I said, and Operation Metro Surge is ending. And in the next week, we're going to deploy the officers here on detail back to their home stations or other areas of the country that are needed. But we're going to continue to enforce immigration law. That's what the American people voted for. But it has to be a priority of criminals. And look, I hear all the hate about, you should arrest everybody. Well, we are. But we're prioritizing those who are the biggest threat to our community. The rapists, the murderers, the child molesters. That's the right thing to do. But I'll say it again. President Trump made a promise of mass deportation, and that's what this country's going to get.
What do you make of that, Bill? Tom Holman's saying, yeah, we're going to prioritize the bad guys, but no, we're still doing mass deportations. Your sense?
I think that is a better platform than the one of you're a criminal. If you cross the border illegally, all criminals are equal, arrest them all. And that is my impression of how we had been operating under the previous administration with Bovino and elsewhere. I think that it is completely reasonable, especially, and I always go back to the messages we were given during the election cycle, because we always hear from Trump supporters, this is what the American people voted for. So it is perfectly reasonable to go back and refer to what was said in order to get elected. And the focus was the worst of the worst are the priority. The worst of the worst are the ones that are going out first. The worst of the worst are, but we haven't seen that. There's a study that showed somewhere over the last 12 months, only around 14% of those detained and deported would classify as that sort of violent criminal. And I think that's a problem, because I don't believe that the American citizens as a whole wanted everybody to be rounded up all at the same time, all together. I don't think the American populace equated the Tren de Aragua gang member with the illegal immigrant who's been here and hasn't done anything else other than cross the border illegally for 25 years, that they're not viewed in our society as the same people. They both are illegal, but they're not equatable. And it's a much better platform for Holman to say, we need to get these people first, and then we can deal with the others. Not everybody out. It's not the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think this was a great victory for the Trump administration. Thank you, President Trump, Kristi Noem, Tom Holman, and the others, and all the ICE agents for stepping into this manufactured crisis by the left, from the mayor and the governor seeking to utilize a moment to try to win and score political points. They said the safety of our communities matter most. We're not in the business of roving patrols and, as Tim Walz said, going on knocking on the doors. Where are the brown people? That was all a lie.
Yeah, that was a lie.
This was an effort to enforce immigration laws, clean up our communities, make America safer again. And I think ICE handled themselves well. I think Homan handled himself well. I think Trump was right to bring in Homan, kind of settle down the situation. I'm sorry there's a loss of life that was never intended. That was never the point of all this. And so they achieved what they wanted to. They're stepping back now and reallocating resources in other places we had to go. And the message was the same all along. We said it weeks ago. Cooperate. Cooperate between city, state, feds. That's a message Colorado needs to learn. Prosecuting some sergeant in the Colorado Highway Patrol or Mesa County for even being on a text message thread with ICE is the wrong way to go. What Phil Weiser had done to try to create that break between local law enforcement. For instance, Douglas County suing the governor so that Douglas County can work with ICE. Allow law enforcement to work together to get these people out. Trump achieved that in Minneapolis. He's withdrawing, not everybody, 700 ICE agents. The people committing the fraud and the agitators in Minneapolis are still going to be prosecuted. America moves on. America's better. Colorado needs to learn from this and end these sanctuary city and state policies. All right, let's talk game day men's health. Billy, there's been a lot of us as we get older, especially the guys, things start to change. Maybe you haven't been feeling like yourself, more tired, more fatigued, more stressed than you want to admit. Billy and I both around the same age, dealing with the same issues. We have both signed up to be a part of what the good folks at Game Day Health are doing. Billy, tell them more.
Yeah, Game Day Men's Health is fantastic because they've got a solution for that tired, run down, and even brain fog feeling that many of us go through as we get older. Been telling you, it's kind of like a really bad reverse puberty. All of a sudden, hair starts falling out, growing in places that you don't want it to. And instead of feeling like, I'm becoming a man, you're like, I'm becoming tired and I just need a nap. It's hard. And it's not your fault. The issue is your hormones in your body change. And we have found a team in Game Day Men's Health that is going to help you get back in the game. Yeah, kind of stupid, but that's what we're talking about. You have that feeling like you can't get out of second gear. You have you get the mid-afternoon nappy time. You just feel that you don't have enough in the gas tank to deal with the families you're getting home. That's the worst part. I told you earlier this week, I talked to a guy in the lobby who said he got to a point where he is sitting in the car waiting to go inside the house, and he doesn't want to because he doesn't have the energy to deal with the kids. He said, it's not because I don't love them, but I know I have to devote so much of my time and energy, I don't feel like I am being a good dad. That's where it brought us to Game Day Men's Health. There inside their break room, they have got this plaque. Helping guys be better dads, better husbands, better men. That's the difference. Game Day Men's Health is data-driven solutions to your hormone problems. They're going to get you fixed up and tightened down right away. I was in there just yesterday getting my shot, and it took me less than 3 minutes. I was in and out in less than 3 minutes. It is just that easy to take care of this, and they're offering you a free testosterone test. Go visit Game Day Men's Health, and Jeff, you know locations.
That's right. They are in Aurora, Cherry Creek, Parker, Inglewood, and Thornton. Again, Aurora, Cherry Creek, Parker, Inglewood, and Thornton. And you can go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com to learn more over there. So coming up in the next hour, it's prostitution time in Colorado.
Yeah, this is not a Valentine's dating game. I'm just telling you that, guys. Just don't stop calling.
Democrats at the state capitol now introducing a bill to decriminalize prostitution. Where are they going with all this? We'll get to that. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Hang on. We'll be right back. It's Friday. Let's celebrate.